Hey, everybody. Welcome to The Discourse, the only podcast you can mainline. My name is Ian.
And I'm Chad Smith, currently in litigation with the Yoplait Corporation over Go Go-Gurt, a psychedelic yogurt experience. I invented it. They didn't, no matter what their patent lawyers try to tell you.
Yes. So, all right. This is July 13th, 2021, and today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to start things off with a game.
Right, but before we get into that, I'm going to go ahead and get this out of the way because I've been getting a lot of Twitter DMs about this. And I just talked to somebody just now, literally outside, smoking a cigarette. They were like, hey, Mr. Smith, Mr. Chad Smith, is your podcast political? Because I don't like politics. And I looked that man right in the face. I said, first of all, I think it's fucked up that you pass gas both from the front and the back. So chew on that one for a while. And I waited about 30 seconds, met his eyes with mine, and a look of sheer horror, existential suffering, and dread came across his face. And he was like, yeah, dude, that's fucked up. And then he was like, anyway, I don't like political podcasts. And I was like, don't worry, it's not a political podcast. We don't do a political podcast. It's a humor podcast sometimes, but really, the humor is a vehicle for science history, right? We're a science history podcast. And what we like to do is we like to confirm everybody's suspicions and fears that there is a mad scientist controlling everything that they do, from the things they put in their food, the things that happen to them after the doctor takes your blood and whisks it away to the ether to presumably have, quote, tests, unquote, run on it. I just want to make sure everybody is scared when they think about science, and I want everybody to be in terror, shaking when they think about, I want people to picture a mashup of Doc Brown from Back to the Future and Einstein, gently probing their ear canals when they're being when medicine is being administered to them. That's what I want people to, kind of take away from this. And that podcast is just an extension of that. So, this is a science history podcast, and let it be known.
And apparently our mission is to instill fear in the hearts of citizens.
It's always been that. And if you're listening and you don't think it's that, consider yourself informed, I guess.
Now you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
So what's this game?
Yeah, I got something cooked up for you. In the kitchen with Sous Chef Owen. Sous Chef Owen helped me out with this one. Not a real person, or is he?
I was about to say, who the fuck is Owen?
I got okay. Well, I should just come clean now. I got on Double List. Oh, he's looking at me like he doesn't know what Double List is.
I don't.
You really are fake gay. Okay.
What?
What?
All right.
No, Double List. Double List is like, so when they passed all those weird laws, like basically cracking down on people looking to fuck on Craigslist, and Craigslist took out the like personals section, where just the absolute dregs of sexually frustrated humanity sort of collects, kind of like the end of a conical tube. For all this people listening to this that are scientists,
like a funnel for people who aren't scientists.
Yeah, sure. The there's a centrifuge going on, but it's sexy. What came and popped up and replaced it was this thing called Double List. And Double List is really fun if you want to get a good laugh, like if you want to like laugh at all the lonely, like sex deprived idiots that get on there and are like, I'm looking for somebody to sniff my armpits and tell me I'm pretty and that my dad loves me.
Oh, no.
That's Double List. So, so I went on Double List and I was like, hey, I need somebody to help me come up with like little fun activities. And I got a lot of really crazy responses, and people were like, yeah, I got a fun activity for you. And I'm like, not what I was looking for at all. But that's... sure, man.
You could have just used Craigslist or Facebook or literally anything.
Well, but
else.
the thing is I was trolling personals because that's where you get the best help, right? People who are desperate, right? Because they do the job for little money, thinking you're gonna suck them off, or maybe they'll suck you off. I don't know, but either way, no sucking to be had. Just a very fast friend that I made, sous chef Evan. We call him sous chef because he's not the head chef, because that's you and me. We're the head chefs. We cook it up every day. Well, really every week for the listeners at home. We slave.
To us, it's like every day. This is a job.
Yeah, we definitely put that much work into it, and it is an everyday thing. I am constantly browsing, surfing, hanging 10, if you will, across the lines, the freeways and highways you don't know. That was a Modest Mouse lyric. I can't take credit for that. But on the internet, I am constantly looking for things 24 hours a day. I don't sleep. I am geeked up on Adderall.
So, clearly, what is this game?
Oh, well, I'll just let sous chef Owen let you know. Okay, I don't know what's going on. He's supposed to be here. He literally just texted me and said, "Hey, is the studio the one with the red gorilla that's like has a football helmet and is waving his arms around?" And I said, "Yeah, that's the studio." And so I don't know if he's lost, but he's supposed to be here. We'll just go ahead and get started without him. So this game, this is a little game that I play with myself in my head all the time. And so I'd like to take this out of the realm of my head. And we were originally going to have sous chef.
I thought Owen cooked this game up.
No, well, it was based off of a conversation that we had.
Okay.
Right. So he's not here, so I guess I'll just do it. This game is called Heathcliff or Garfield, which we all know that Heathcliff is the superior orange cat that you find on your weekend funnies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to describe a panel.
So wait, is Heathcliff basically just off-brand Garfield?
Fuck no. First of all, he came first.
All right.
So write that down.
Okay.
Since you're taking notes. Write that fucking down. Second of all, Heathcliff, way better than Garfield. Garfield ripped off of him because, what's his name? Bill Watterson? No, that's Calvin and Hobbes. It doesn't matter. Heathcliff is better. He was the first one. He was the original orange cat. He was the original funny cat. There weren't any funny cats before him. He's old as fuck, and so is the comic strip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to describe one panel, because Heathcliff is usually one panel, and then Garfield is several panels. I don't know if there's ever been a single panel Garfield strip, but I'll describe one panel, and of course I'll read you the dialogue, and each will play 10, and I'll do this quick, but each correct answer is worth 10 points. We'll do 10 strips, and
that's a lot of strips of acid, dude.
Yeah, well, one strip is 10 hits, so clearly somebody is not a real hippie. Not a real gay either. It's fine. I'm just ragging. I'm just ragging
feeling
on
so
you.
attacked.
I know. Well, if sous chef Owen were here, he'd probably be holding me back. Because
you're taking so many aspects of my personality and invalidating them.
Yeah, I'm getting vicious, but let's kind of get rid of that negative energy and just do something fun. Okay, so currently the leaderboard in first place is, of course, Roger Waters from Pink Floyd. Second place, he's got 100 points. Second place is Bill Watterson, which I don't know why was already on my mind, but Thomas and Calvin, John and what is it? Calvin and Hobbes?
Yes.
That guy. He's got second place with 90 points. And then, of course, is it John Waters, Pink Flamingo guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got 50 points. I met him back.
So he's bad at this game.
Oh, yeah, he's fucking terrible. So
I had to get a perfect score just to tie with the first place person? That sucks.
Well, how about this? I'll give you a bonus if you correctly guess which other animals are in the last panel. Okay.
Okay.
And
all right.
Go.
All right.
So this panel is there's a sun in the top left corner. They're at the beach. It's an old guy and old woman, and the cat in question is walking up with a grin and sunglasses, just like the sun in the left-hand corner. The caption reads, "This looks like trouble."
So the options are Garfield
Garfield or
and
Heathcliff?
Heathcliff. I'm going to say Heathcliff for that one.
Bing, bing. That was right. That was Heathcliff. 10 points for Ian. All right. Moving on to the next panel. This panel has a man leaning in to a cat and saying, "No two snowflakes are exactly alike. They are sitting on top of it. Well, the cat is sitting on top of a table, and the human is leaning in, and there's a yellow background."
That's the whole comic?
Yeah, it's just a single panel from the comic.
Heathcliff.
Nope, that's Garfield.
Okay.
All right, so moving on to the next one. There is a cat standing on top of a lake. There are two kids, and they are looking off into the distance, and the caption reads, "A lake is like the ocean's little brother."
Definitely Heathcliff. Huh.
That was Family Circus.
What? Why would you do that? All right.
Sorry, I can't keep this. All right, moving on to the fourth round. Hey, batter. This panel is a human holding a piece of toast and is wearing a red and white striped shirt and says, "I made toast. Do you want a slice?"
All right.
The cat is reaching out for the toast.
I'm going to say Garfield.
Well done. 10 points. What are you at?
20
20 points.
out of 40.
All right. Well, you could still get third place. You could still be third place. All right. Moving on to the next one. Here we go. There is a cat in a wizard costume. There are sausages and burger patties floating around him, and two men looking on as he stands in front of a grill. The caption reads, "He only uses his power for good."
Heathcliff.
Right again. Good job. All right. Moving on to the next one.
It's 3 out of 5.
What's 3 out of 5? That's
my score so far.
okay. Yeah, 30. We got 5 more to go. And here we go. This panel has a man in a hammock. He's sleeping. A woman is looking from inside the house, adjacent to where the hammock is set up between two trees. There's a cat sleeping under the man, and the caption says, Z-Z.
I want to say it's like Dilbert.
Wrong. It's Blondie and Dagwood.
Ah, man. All right, I'm on to this game.
All right, next panel. We have a man in a yellow shirt leaning over saying lasagna, and a orange cat saying I laugh.
Garfield.
He's also wearing a helmet. Would you like to change your answer? Excuse me, I have a speech impediment.
Heathcliff?
Wrong, it's Garfield.
What the fuck? Okay.
What are we at? 30 out of 70?
70, yeah.
Oof, not looking good. You have 2 more chances.
3.
Well, yeah, in the bonus round. You can get an extra 10 points for the bonus round. Well, if you burp on mic right now, I'll bump that up to 20. Oh my God, this disgusting motherfucker.
That was not rehearsed.
In this panel, we have a smiling orange cat saying, "They must be thinking about cupcakes too." The caption reads, "Meat, cupcake."
Garfield.
Wrong. It's Garfield and Heathcliff together. Heathcliff is not
What?
not pictured on screen. The tip-off should have been
What?
meat, helmet. 2 things Heathcliff is historically known for loving: meat and wearing helmets.
So, but it's Garfield on the screen.
Heathcliff is off the panel. It's implied that Heathcliff is there.
So there's no cat on the panel.
No, there is. It's Garfield. Garfield's on the
What?
panel saying they must be thinking about cupcakes too. The caption reads, "Meat, helmet. Heathcliff is implicitly off screen.
Is this legal? They can put Garfield
I don't
in
know,
Heathcliff
dude.
comics?
Literally take it up with Sous Chef Owen. Okay, it's not my game. I just
right.
play this in my head.
I'm 3 for 8. Let's go.
All right, and this is the. Oh, I see you trying to get one over me. Trying to pull the wool over my eyes.
There's only been 8 comics so far, right?
Hold on, let me check my notes.
I've gotten 3 correct.
My notes are saying yes. There are only 8 comics. Okay, moving on. Let me find a good one because I feel like I've been giving you pretty easy ones so far.
You say that.
Well, it's not my fault you're bad at this game. So, I'm going to pick a panel from this comic. Here we go. There is a duck, a green duck with a large yellow beak, and he is wearing one of those Canadian trucker hats that kind of looks like an Ashanka. And he's saying, "Ian, do not smoke weed right now."
Dagmar.
Oh, I'm so sorry. He's actually saying, "Down with big flowers and big naughty undies."
Is Dagmar the name of that?
Big naughty undies.
Big, what the fuck?
I don't know what the fuck.
It's the one with the duck. I forget the name of that one. Like, Flab Flart. I don't fucking.
We're gonna need a name here. 5 seconds on the clock. 5.
Dogwood.
4, 3.
Dagwood.
2.
No. Shit. I
Two and a
have
half.
no idea.
2 3/4.
Dagmar. This is my final answer.
The fuck is a Dagmar?
I have no idea.
What's another name for a duck?
Quack. Fucking.
Jesus Christ.
Another
this guy
name for a
just
duck?
floundering. And coming into the 9th round, that is incorrect.
Another name for a what? There's more than one
Mallard
word for a duck.
Fillmore.
Mallard Fillmore.
Hope
That's not
didn't,
another. That's a type of duck.
Whatever, dude. You're the contestant. Take it up with Sous Chef Owen.
I'm taking it up with you,
if
dude.
you're really pissed off about it, you can talk to Regis Philbin because he's fucking hosting this whole thing.
All right.
You don't know that because he's pulling the strings.
Guess.
I'm like Woody. I'm like Woody from Tolstoy.
Tolstoy.
Tool Story. Ton. Yeah, Harding. Okay, so that was Mallard Fillmore, and that was your 9th chance. Here we go again, coming to you live and direct. We got one panel from this comic. Don't let it trip you up, though. There are 2 animals. One is a yellow dog. One is an orange cat. They are running out of a store that says wigs. They both have wigs on. A man is standing outside of the store, the wig store, looking perplexed. There is a cup, a plate, a cup, and a plate assembled in parallel fashion. If it helps you, this is my hint to you, and I'm helping you, so say thank you. Okay, don't if you're ungrateful.
I mean, once you give me the hint, I'll say thank you.
In the previous panels, they were wearing masks. So, is this Heathcliff or Garfield?
I'm going to say Heathcliff.
Right you are. Good job. What is that, 40 points? We got 40 points?
Yep. So
Very good. You got an extra opportunity if you can tell me the other animals that are in
the panel.
this panel.
Oh, God. A meat and a helmet. Based on what I've learned
Final
about
answer.
Heathcliff tonight. No.
I'm also not. I haven't prompted you with the panel.
A
so
bird?
Chill the fuck out.
Oh.
Jesus.
What?
Amateurs.
Okay. I thought you were saying it like the last panel. Okay.
Instructions unclear. Apparently.
Exactly.
All right. Let's take a look here. Let me find a good one. You know what? I honestly pity you a little bit. I feel bad for you, and I want you to get on that leaderboard because it does unlock a lot of opportunities. So I will find you a new one, an easy one. All right. Here we have a panel. 2 cats. Fuck. I fucked up. This is what happens when we don't have fucking sous chef Owen here, bro.
Man, why did you invent that guy only to bail? What a loser.
What do you mean?
I'm
What do you
just
mean
saying,
invent?
Like,
What do you mean invent?
what a lame invention if the first thing he does is just
No, I want to break this wide open.
fail.
What the fuck does that mean?
That, that he's an invention of yours.
Oh, you don't think sous chef Owen is real?
I don't think the website you mentioned is real.
What website?
The one that you supposedly found him on. Anyway, we're getting
Oh,
sidetracked.
Double List, dude. Look that shit up. You're so full.
I'm not gonna look that up. Is this game over yet?
Jesus, you are struggling.
I'll look at. I mean, actually, I will look up Double List just for the lulz.
Yeah,
but
I bet you will. You're
No.
trying to reverse that fake gay status into a real. All right. So this panel, no caption here, but there are two animals. One, of course, is an orange cat, and they both kind of have the same look on their face. They have big Looney Tune cartoon eyes, with their eyes bugging out, and they're both jumping for joy. They're freeze frame midair, with their feet out and their arms also outstretched above their head, kind of in a kind of freeze frame kind of thing. And the orange cat has their teeth out. They're very square.
may I ask the caption?
There is no caption.
You said that. May I ask which, whether it's Garfield or the other one, Heathcliff?
Do you want me to use it in a sentence?
Do
you want me to tell you the?
Is it Garfield or Heathcliff? Which one? It's just a simple question.
Well, that would give too much away.
All right, I'm gonna say Heathcliff because you said square and boxy. So
Let me give you one more chance. It's not Heathcliff.
Okay.
What is the other?
All right, so I'm
other
gonna say a
animal
dog.
in this panel? Well done. You are beating John Waters.
Actually, I think I tied with John Waters.
No, you have 60 points. You got an extra 20, didn't you?
Oh yeah,
40
because I
plus
burped. Oh yeah.
There it is.
Okay,
there
cool.
it is. We have a new third place. Give it up, everybody. And if we could get some
fanfare.
Yeah, some fanfare behind this.
Yeah,
that would
post
be
production is
perfect.
going to be
And definitely
lit.
delete this part. What I'm saying.
Right.
Edit this out.
Okay.
Or whatever. I don't fucking give a shit.
All right, so that was the game for today. Round of applause, everybody. So this week, like every week, we are going to look into a specific source of news and examine their take on a recent event. So, what is that source of news today?
Yeah, we're gonna be looking at CNN.
And we're going to be seeing how they feel about the situation in fucking... Damn it, you said it earlier.
Cuba.
Yes.
Yeah. So, if you don't know, let me fill you in. There has been a storm of brewing over a tiny, plucky communist nation in the Caribbean, known as Cuba. Of course, once a United States colony, a sugar plantation on wheels, on continental plate, on
wheels.
meals on wheels.
On boat.
Meals for some people, but not for others.
Ooh.
Meals for the rich, the white, the doctors, the clerks, the lawyers.
But what's happening recently?
Well, ever since Cuba so rudely liberated themselves, they've been under an embargo. You may have heard of it. The Cuban Missile Crisis, the reason you can't smoke Cuban cigars. Cuba.
Like, this is literally just like the progression of events since the 80s?
I mean, it depends on how you look at history. If you think history is all connected, which you should, if you're a materialist, and if you're not on this, if you're not a materialist, I can certainly replace you with sous chef Owen. I'm just kidding. I would never replace you. You're like 2/3 of the reason this podcast happens.
Right.
So, Cuba is under embargo. And since Joe Biden, wake up. Joe Biden, wake up.
Okay, It's a bit of an
Joe
inside joke.
Biden, wake up. Was elected. Don't explain anything. You better edit that shit out, bud.
I'm not explaining shit. I'm just saying that was an inside joke. Just for
Definitely
people
put
who
an echo effect on that if you can. Joe Biden, wake up. Ever since Joe Biden was elected, there's been problems in Little Cuba, right? Because, and by Little Cuba, of course, I mean Miami. After the Cuban Revolution.
What? All right.
Yeah, no. After the Cuban Revolution, and I wish I could cite it to you right now on air. There is an interesting article that came out, I think in like the 70s or something, talking about like what is the cross section, or what is not the cross section, what is the demography of Cuban refugees and the second wave of refugees after.
What's a demography?
Demography, like how you break up people, like it's like demographics.
Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
White 18 to 25-year-old artificial horse inseminators. Like that's a demographic.
That's a very specific one.
Well, I'm sure when people watch Mike Rowe do dirty jobs on Discovery Channel before it was fucking trash, a bunch of 18 to 25-year-old white horse inseminators are like, yeah, that's my guy. He gets it. He fucking gets it.
Did he do that job?
Oh, yeah, that was like one of the things that he did. But
all right, anyway.
So, yeah, that's a demographic. And if you look at the demographics of the second wave of Cuban refugees, which is, I think that this was like a U.S. This article was written by maybe it was a university, maybe it was like a CIA fact book type situation. I can't really remember right now. But it was definitely written for people in the United States. And it was sort of a breakdown on the first migration to the United States of Cuban, or second migration. The first migration, of course, being when the previous regime, that of Batista, was around. There was a lot of Cuban migrants because, of course, he was a fascist. He made things really bad for everybody. He promised to liberate the country, and then it just went really bad. And the second migration was, of course, when Batista was deposed by the, I think it's the 26th of July movement, or the 26th Julio movement, movimiento, 26 Julio, whatever. And the occupational demography of people leaving Cuba for specifically Miami was mostly plantation owners, doctors, lawyers, business owners, managerial and clerical staff.
So it was all like petty bourgeois people.
Yeah, and literally bourgeois people.
All right.
And there were some skilled labor, some unskilled labor, of course, but those paled in comparison to the other strata of people leaving that country for Miami.
So it was all of the people who had the means to leave the country.
Yeah, and the people that were being persecuted by the socialist government, which nominally is for the worker, the working class, and the...
Oh, so it's weird that like their first choice to escape a government that doesn't favor, people of power who are taking advantage of workers, their first choice was America.
That's right. Well, it is, and let's be clear here that Cuba is like right next to Florida.
True.
That's
fair.
I'm currently
it's
looking
close as shit. I get that.
Here in the studios right behind you, and I'm seeing a world map because we are professionals, and of course we have reference material on hand at all times. It's not that far off. Cuba's right next to Florida. So Miami, of course, is where they settled. And there's a huge contingency. I mean, think about Marco Rubio, friend of the show, Marco Rubio, longtime patron of all things pro-Florida.
I love that guy. He taught me how to putt.
Right. Taught you how to putt?
Putt. Like
Putt.
golfing.
Did he also teach you how to smoke a bong?
No, I taught myself that.
Okay,
I was
well,
a
I guess
child prodigy.
Child prodigy. I guess I just thought that you kind of hit the bong like kind of in a with a rubiosity, a Marco Rubiosity. Yeah. So Marco Rubio, of course, is what? He's like a senator from Florida, some shit like that, right? He represents the Cuban interests, I'm sure, in Miami. I mean, he's the guy that always goes for. I mean, okay, and also think about it. The U.S. Army's Southcom is in Florida, right? So,
What's that?
the South Southern Command for the U.S. Army.
Okay.
So, and I think the U.S. Army is the only place that does this, and I could be wrong. So, definitely write into
What?
the email. Write into the email
okay.
at.
Oh, the email. Discoursepodcast@gmail.com.
Keep up, bud. Yeah, so write into the email and tell me if I'm fucking wrong. But yeah,
Well,
so
also you could just tweet us.
tweet us too
Discoursepod
at discoursepod.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so so Southcom is like the U.S. The U.S. divides up the world based on its fucking military aspirations, based on where it wants to send its troops or what it wants to do its strategic shit with in certain areas, and Southcom is headquartered in Miami. So all the coups in South America, Bolivia, Venezuela, Nicaragua, whatever you want, Cuba, I guess, it's all coming from Southcom, U.S. Southcom. So
All right.
why I'm bringing this up to you and setting the stage for you is that currently in Cuba, there is a protest, an anti-government protest, which the U.S. media, CNN in particular, would have you believe is thousands, if not tens of thousands in number, which we should know by now, and maybe the listeners don't, and maybe you don't, but I know that it's a classic right-wing thing to inflate the numbers. Trump did it with his rallies, and the liberal media was all over it. They were like, ooh, we took an aerial drone photo, and we showed that using this mathematical modeling that actually there was like 10,000 people when he said that there were 50,000. Liberals do it too, all the time. And this is just one more data point in the string of the calibration curve of actual numbers attending protests versus media's representation.
All right. So why is the U.S. skewing it to seem like they were larger than they were?
Well, because it probably goes. There's probably a lot of reasons why that we don't necessarily have time to get into, but it is in the U.S.'s best interest to present every anti-government protest against a government that it doesn't like, that it has geopolitical aims, ideological aims to overthrow.
It's in their best interest to frame those protests as just.
Yeah, especially since Cuba kind of has the moral high ground, since they send doctors to almost every country in South America that'll let them send them doctors. They cured lung cancer. They have a pseudo vaccine for lung cancer.
What?
They have like 3 different COVID vaccines that the rest of the world is buying. And interestingly enough, one of the claims that CNN is citing is that there's a hospital that collapsed, like it literally was in ruins. Now, whether that's hyperbole or not can be left as an exercise to the reader. Under the case, this hospital is housing a bunch of COVID cases, people on ventilators and such.
Mm-hmm.
And also they're saying they don't have enough vaccine resources, right? When, of course, we know that, 1, they've developed several in-house vaccines, and 2, the United States will not let other countries have its vaccines unless they play ball economically. And even then, they're probably not going to get it in sufficient quantities until maybe a year out from 5 months ago, 2 years out from 5 months ago, right? So let's kind of look at this CNN article, which got a little bit of flack. God, what was that? A fucking locust? Anyway, so the CNN article got a lot of flack because when it first ran, it showed a picture of people using this hashtag that has like hundreds of thousands of fake accounts, all posting the same stuff that have all been related to like one account that follows all of them. I think it's like a journalist for Telemundo. His name's like Usnabi, which people have pointed out is hilariously close to how you might pronounce U.S. Navy in, in Spanish. That in this picture, actually, it's cropped out, but this picture let's take a look at the headline here. So, Cubans take to streets in rare protest over lack of freedoms and a worsening economy. And of course, it says thousands of Cubans took to the streets. It's more like 100 from other pictures, which is why they used a picture of a protest in Miami until they took it down, updated at, let's say, yeah, so at 1:40 p.m. today, they changed the picture because Twitter, of course, and everybody not on Twitter, on other social media, just rang them ragged, fucking roasting them for using a picture of a protest in Miami because somebody found the original picture and found that it had a street name that's in Miami and that there were people wearing Trump hats because, by the way, it's in the 60s, high 60s, 67%, don't know the exact figure, of Cuban Americans voted for Trump. So, let it be known that the Cubans in Miami, the character of that is almost entirely right-wing. Who is waving flags at these hundreds strong demonstrations in Cuba versus the 3 million strong pro-government rallies happening at the same time? None other than people waving American flags.
So wait, there are pro-government rallies happening at the same time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know what's funny is that these protests couldn't have been, like hundreds of people, maybe. And the evidence for police crackdowns is that they arrested 100 people and let them go soon after. There's also the idea that that there's a government policy of starving people, that it's on books, that it's a law. We got to starve people. A lot of people are saying, oh, everybody's getting COVID there. Yeah, COVID cases are worsening, for sure, just like the rest of the world.
True.
Coming from unvaccinated people. But the vaccination rates, and this will be completely blind because I don't know, vaccination rate in Cuba. Let's find out.
By the way, while you're looking that up, I have recently found out that Arkansas, which is the state in which Little Italy Studios is based, is currently the worst in the country in terms of new cases for COVID. And what with this Delta variant and whatnot. And there's another variant, too. I forget what that one's called. But shit's getting worse.
Yeah. Okay. So 7.28 million people in Cuba are currently vaccinated out of 11.3 million.
That's way higher vaccination rates than our country has.
That's 64% vaccinated versus U.S. vaccination rates of 48%.
Yeah.
So, glass houses.
Yeah, man.
So let's just do a quick. I mean, I've spoken a lot about the background. We haven't actually seen what CNN has to say about Cuba. But we started with thousands of Cubans took to the streets. Obviously, that's fucking wrong. Demonstrators complained about a lack of freedom and worsening economic situations during the rare protests. Hey, they admit it. It's rare. Because more people give a shit about their country, about the gains of the revolution in Cuba, than they care about, I don't know, losing those gains. They're asking for President Miguel Diaz-Canel to step down. Multiple protesters were arrested by police. Okay, multiple. I don't know why they're downplaying that. who used tear gas to break up some demonstrations. Unattributed claim that if you look at every claim that parrots this, they point back to the same Associated Press article, which is unattributed. I have personally seen no video or photographic evidence of any of that. If anybody wants to send it in, be my guest. I'm definitely open to being wrong. A lot of people's take on this, as CNN so concisely states, in a nationally televised address, President Diaz-Canel said, U.S. trade sanctions has created the economic misery on the communist-run island. I believe that, and I think that a lot of social democrats or people who are not communists would also have been framing the issue in that regard. I think that's fine. I think I would probably promote a different stance, just because I get paid to, you know. I think Cuba. It's not the economic sanctions that are killing the economy. Because personally, I don't think the economy there is that bad. I mean, people have what they need. It's the fact that the rest of the world won't play ball with them. It's not necessarily U.S. sanctions that are the problem. That's a big part of it. I think that they are a country under siege, and the U.S. sanctions are just one aspect of it. Instead of saying, get rid of the sanctions, we should take it a step further. Of course, get rid of the sanctions, but also it should be, we should be pursuing, the United States should be pursuing what we had with China, an open door policy, right? With some trade restrictions, whatever. I mean, the powers that be will decide that, whatever. But anyway, that's pretty much what's going on over there. And this, not only that, but also The Guardian used a picture from an Egyptian protest back in 2011.
Huh.
Because I guess they couldn't find a good stock image of, like, protesters. So this is not new. This is just one more data point in calibration curve of malignance. But
All right.
yeah.
They're expected to like use a headline with a picture of the thing they're talking about, right? Like usually.
Yeah.
Like otherwise that's misleading, right? Like. Anyway, what are we here to talk about today?
I was thinking we could talk about sort of like how to tell the difference between Heathcliff and Garfield when it's described.
Eat shit.
When it's
No.
described to you.
Hang on.
When it's described to you, when someone's just sort of looking at the picture, that would be what I would want to talk about. But we're talking about medical self-experimentation. And self-experimentation just in general, and I don't mean masturbating. What I mean is using yourself for research or otherwise doing your research on you. I just want to start off by saying one of my heroes, you can call me a dirty hippie for that if you want, but I am a trained chemist, so respect your betters. Yeah, so one of my heroes, Alexander Shulgin.
You're like, listen to scientists, especially me.
Especially, yeah, listen to everything I tell you is 100% fact, and if you deny it, you're denying science. So maybe think about that. Maybe set yourself in the corner, take a little time out, and think about that.
Sorry.
Self-experimentation, of course, was the gold standard in early for early physicians, and of course, dissecting cadavers.
They would just say, oh, okay, never mind.
But you know, one of my heroes, Alexander Shulgin, was the inventor of over 350 hitherto unknown to humans compounds. psychedelic in nature, and I'm pretty sure almost every one he took himself and evaluated. He was not a crackpot. I mean, maybe he was, but he was the kind of person who made his career legitimately. Okay, and I think he worked for Dow Chemical Company, and he maintained an like DEA licensure to use controlled chemicals, and he ate a lot of strange powders, and he was kind of before we had qualitative. What is it? No. Quality Structural Activity Relationship. QSAR. I just call it QSAR because
Okay.
I don't really know. But the QSAR is basically the idea that we can boil down, small molecules and evaluate them based on structures of those molecules that have certain activities in the human body.
All right.
So there's a lot of times in rational drug design, which is the practice of designing drugs based on empirical study of what they do to the body. There's the idea of the pharmacophore, which is a core structural element of a series of chemicals or class of chemicals that have an anticipated or expected or empirically observed activity on the human body. For example, triptans. I like to bring this up because I'm particularly interested in this subject. I think I've brought it up on a previous show. Triptans are a class of chemicals that are used to prevent migraines or treat migraines, or they're not. I wouldn't call them a prophylactic, although some of them are. But
Prophylactic.
like condoms, right? Like Jimmy hats.
Yeah, right.
So there's a core structure that has a certain activity that you add little pieces on, and those little pieces can affect various aspects of how the drug is absorbed, specificity for certain aspects of the drug's activity, tailor-made to certain presentations of a pathology, right? So for migraines, there's some people have vomiting, some people have visual disturbances where they see bright flashes of light, some people have pain. Some migraines happen over the course of several hours, some happen over the course of days, some come back multiple times in a week.
All right.
And you can fine tune various structural additions to the pharmacophore, the central part of the molecule that gives it its activity, to tune the drug to certain things, certain symptoms.
So like this is the flavor of it that cures nausea, and like this is the version of it that like cures insomnia. Like
Right, exactly. And not only that, but there's also things to consider like absorption or like into your body. Like, is this going to be fast acting? Is this going to hit you in 15 minutes and take it away, or is this going to be something that's going to last for 12 hours? And so there's a delicate dance that you do in rational drug design. And the way you do that is QSAR. And Shulgin was doing that thing that we now do today with lots of tools that are available to us now. He was doing that by eating them and figuring out just qualitatively what structural elements that he, as a biochemist, added to the molecules that made them do certain things. And he was doing that all as his own guinea pig. And you would probably think, wow, that sounds backwards as fuck. That sounds like some medieval ass torture bullshit. That sounds like some fucking.
when was he doing this?
This was in I want to say the 60s, all the way up into the 80s.
Okay.
I mean, he recently died in the 2000s, but he was doing it, even though the DEA raided his lab, he was doing it well into the early 2000s.
All right.
Of course, we now have computers to help us do that, and we now have lots of tools, cytoculture, culturing, cytotechnology, like culturing human cells has come a long way.
Okay.
But a lot of our biggest scientific discoveries have happened through self-experimentation. And there's ethical considerations to deal with it. You know, like, should you stick a tube up your ass and shoot gas into it? What's the ethics of that? Do you think that you should stick a tube of up your ass and shoot gas into it? Just ethically speaking.
Ethically speaking, if it's my own ass, I don't see what the problem is.
Oh my God, I couldn't have said it better myself. You're so right. You're so fucking right. I mean, so one of the first things that I always think about as just like a crazy intersection of just like people being skeptical about self-experimentation with medicine, and sort of the locus, the vertex of skepticism about self-experimentation, the need to radically shake up a scientific paradigm, and actual empirical science is the discovery of the thing that gives you lots of things.
I mean, that's like how food works. Like a chef will
Right.
experiment with untaped things and just taste every single one of them, whether they be terrible or not.
Yeah. Well, the thing about food is that it usually doesn't kill you.
I mean, usually it can sometimes.
It can sometimes, but in medicine and science in general, chemistry especially. I mean, back in the day, when we were still distilling things with fucking retorts.
What?
Yeah, the R word.
No, retorts. Oh, like a verbal retort.
Yeah, like you might be retorted to.
Like verbally sparring.
That's
Yeah.
right.
No, I've played Skyrim. I know
You've
what a
retorted.
retort is. Or no, not Skyrim.
Oh yeah,
Oblivion.
no, Oblivion, yeah,
Yeah.
Or Morrowind, yeah. I mean, and that's a good introduction to how chemistry works, right? A retort is just old timey distillation setup, but a lot of our popular medicines, a lot of our groundbreaking scientific advancements have been done this way, and in fact,
What are some fun examples?
in 1984. This is a prominent example, I think, of it. Dr. Barry Marshall discovered that a bacteria that had some history before. He wasn't the discoverer of this bacteria. People knew about it. It's a normal bacteria that occurs in your gut. It's part of your normal gut flora. Helicobacter pylori was one of the biggest causes of ulcers. People at the time believed that ulcers were caused by poor dietary habits. Like if you fucking, if you go to the Walmart, you see a weird flask. It looks like there could be liquor in it, but it's a weird red paste, and it's got a guy on the front, and it looks like he's simultaneously getting his prostate just busted up, and at the same time, like eating a sour warhead, that kind of hot sauce, that kind of shit that's called like Gut Blaster 2000 or like Spicinator, fucking bacon, fucking Lance, shit like that. Like people at the time were like, yeah, you probably shouldn't eat something that says that the name of it is I love pain, TM. You know what I'm saying? Like you shouldn't eat that stuff. Which that's probably good wisdom to follow if you have ulcers, but also apparently not the cause, not the etiology, right?
I mean, I personally do eat that shit.
Yeah, and do you have GI problems?
Not really. I mean, I have diarrhea constantly, but like it's fine.
Case in point. Or maybe you have an infection, a Helicobacter pylori infection, an overgrowth of Helicobacter
You do
pylori.
some self-experimentation and get that shit figured out.
Yeah, which in this case, perfectly ethical. So this guy, Dr. Barry Marshall, for so long was trying to prove that this was the thing that caused ulcers, but because of things like informed consent, you have to let someone know, hey, this could be bad for you.
Yeah.
This is what you're getting yourself into with this medical study. And also the fact that, the Hippocratic Oath is an enduring part of medicine. You can't just do that to people. Even if it's an experimental thing, it has to be like medicine. It has to potentially save their life or at least treat something that is an intractable medical condition. Mm-hmm. So he couldn't exactly dose people with this bacteria that he thought did something to people. So what he did instead, thinking that if he waited a year, he would develop ulcers. If he only drank an entire fucking 1 liter beaker of a cultured H. pylori fluid,
He gave himself ulcers
he gave himself ulcers.
so that he could test his medicine to solve ulcers.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, no, he wanted to not. That was the rub. If he had a medicine that could fix ulcers, he could have had an experimental thing. Like he could have had a study which purported to cure it, and maybe use that as like to dose people with that, maybe. But he didn't. It wasn't. He just had a hunch, and he got rejected by the medical community. He tried to publish, and nobody would fucking take a shit. Everybody laughed him out. I mean, everybody thought he was fucking full of shit. They were like, what do you mean a bacteria causes ulcers? It's clearly people eating hot sauces called Butt Blaster, right? But he came down with an acute case of gastritis.
Okay.
And people immediately were like, oh shit, you're probably right. You're probably right. So that's one example of that going swimmingly, I guess. For better or worse, we discovered it. He had some gastrointestinal problems, but he survived. But in the early days of drug research and pathology research, people didn't really know. They didn't really know what to expect. You know, if you're a medical doctor, you in the 1980s, you have decades of, you know, safety and ethics training. But in 1936, maybe you didn't have that. Because in 1936, a man named Edwin Katsky took a very large dose of cocaine, and he was trying to write down his notes about what he was feeling, much in the vein of like Alexander Shulgin. That was his whole thing. But people found his notes, and they became less and less and less legible as he kept writing them. And of course, when they found his notes, they found his dead body next to the notes.
Oh wow. What had he been testing?
Cocaine.
Okay.
Right. Or for example, this is a fun one. When you sort of know the risks associated with it, there was a guy, Stuart Adams, who was developing ibuprofen off of previous knowledge of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Of course, I don't think they called it that at that time, but you know, ibuprofen was sort of developed as a result several years earlier in the early 1960s, based off of the sort of idea of aspirin. I mean, people were thinking, and aspirin is as ancient as, you know, fucking the bark of a tree, right? It comes from the bark of a tree. And they were basically trying to figure out, well, if it relieves pain and it's well tolerated, this guy thought, well, I'll just take it for a hangover.
All right.
He survived, obviously. So you really get this sort of runs the gambit of all of this stuff. In fact, there was a guy, and we'll give you an extreme example of this. There's a guy who wanted to know if hydrogen could be stuck up your ass.
What was he trying to find out?
So Nicholas Sen was a surgeon who was researching the GI tract, right? He was trying to figure out if getting gas in your GI tract could kill you. And
wait, so he was trying to figure out if it could kill you?
Yeah, he tested it on dogs, and this is also a common story in self-experimentation. People do insane shit to their dogs.
The fuck?
Yeah, they do insane shit to dogs, and then they're like, "Oh, the dog survived, so I should be good." And he literally had his assistant shove a tube up his ass and put 4 fucking gallons of hydrogen gas in
What?
in his intestinal
That's
tract.
so much.
And then he had his assistant basically cover the tube while he like squeezed his ass around it. And then monitor the pressure with a manometer.
All right.
This is not the only fucking example of dog shit, right? People like doing weird shit with dogs, right? Because Joseph Barcroft in 1917 was essentially doing like war research on like chemical weapons, and he was testing hydrogen cyanide on dogs, and he noticed that the dogs would like kind of get woozy, get back up, and he was like, okay, here's how we're really gonna know. He gets into a gas chamber with him and his dog, and then he has his people pump in hydrogen cyanide.
Holy shit.
Guess who survived?
The dog.
The fucking dog. No, and they didn't know that at first. The dog looked like it died.
Yeah.
It fucking convulsed and
So
killed every
this
guy.
guy died also?
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
What?
I'm trying to fucking remember. There's somebody. Because back in the early days of chemistry, like I was saying, like people use their senses. Because what better chemical instruments do we have
Than our
low
own
cost
body.
than our noses and our tongues?
Right.
I mean, they used to look for diabetes, like early physicians in like the Renaissance era when they figured out what diabetes was. They used to drink people's pee.
What?
Yeah, drink people's pee to be like a physician would drink your piss and be like.
Let me get some more of it.
Oh, it's fucking sweet, man. And they would be like, "Oh, you're diabetic because you have sugar in your pee.
Oh.
You've been eating too much sugar."
So it'd be sweet pea.
Yeah, it'd be sweet pea. Which is sweet tea is a recent invention. So
No,
Can't make
it's
those-
sweet pea.
sweet pea,
That's
right.
what I call my cat.
and you didn't even know that's a historically
No,
based.
actually, I knew
nickname.
that the whole time. That's why I call her that.
So let me just go ahead and probe you with a tube of hydrogen gas. Bend over. No, I'm just kidding. Let me go ahead and pump that intuition. Let me palpate like a physician. Let me palpate that intuition a little bit.
That intuition?
Yeah, your intuition. Your womanly intuition.
I'm into what ishin?
This ishin, baby girl. Oh, yeah. Anyway, just kidding. I'm not asking you to do that. What I'm asking you... In fact, you're not the one doing the pumping. I'm the one doing the pumping. So what I'm asking you...
You're asking me to bottom, it sounds like. Jesus.
Well, yeah. That's the only way you're going to prove to me that you're not fake gay. I'm just kidding.
God, fuck. This
No.
again.
So let me ask you, do you think that is an acceptable thing to do?
To yourself?
To test medical research
I
or
mean,
other research using your body?
There's like... I mean, mostly yes. There are some considerations to be taken for like the fact that you are a scientist and like your body of work is probably more valuable than it not being there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, but like that's still just like that doesn't feel right to like, you know, evaluate the value of human life versus human life. So that, you know, that feels icky and weird, but like it feels ethical to do that kind of thing on yourself just because it's you know what you're getting into and you know that you might not survive. And that's the decision you're making for yourself. I mean, it's also it's basically the same question of whether or not it's ethical to commit suicide, because that's ostensibly what it is the decision to engage in something in which you might die.
Mm-hmm.
And that you're okay with that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, is it ethical to commit suicide?
That's completely different.
It's
discussion.
not completely different. It's basically the same question.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. is it ethical for somebody to take research that was concluded by someone who did self-experimentation and died or didn't die, and you
that brings in like the economics of the situation.
Well, this is an economic podcast.
So that's fair. There are certain like economic incentives to like succeeding in science that so it's like
do you think it's right to take money for that though?
I mean, to take money for the results of your self-experimentation?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, why not?
How about a recent example? Well, let me pump your intuition more with some prompts here.
Pump your intuition.
Yeah. Let me palpate your intuition gland. Your intuition gland. All right. So this comes from the AAAS, the American Academy Association of Scientists, or some shit like that. You know, it's reputable. I mean, you hear about it. There's advertisements for it on NPR, so maybe it's reputable. But with these unprecedented times, these uncertain times, the times in which you need to buy a Cadillac and don't buy a ticket to the MoMA. The times in which you need to smear peanut butter all over tickets that you bought for the MoMA 2 years ago, and you've been waiting for this exhibition that only comes around once every 10 years, and you rub peanut butter all over it because Jiffy Lube is sponsoring in conjunction with Jiffy Pop and also Jif Peanut Butter to make motor oil covered popcorn peanut butter. You use that to dab on the tickets that you're not going to use because of coronavirus, and that's how you cope with it. In these times in which we do things like that, these times, these Rolex wearing, Givenchy sporting, Gucci belt slapping across the bare ass of a woman who's not your wife, and that you said, I got to work late tonight. This hybrid work thing isn't working. They need me at the office. And so you said, I got to go in. The woman that you're seeing, instead of doing what you said you were doing to your wife, whom you hate, who is a wrecking ball, one of those jail balls, because this is the 80s. I'm Bill Burr. This is Stand Up. We're listening to Stand Up. You're listening to Stand Up. Stand up, stand up, stand up and listen to what I'm about to tell you. Coronavirus 2019 disease. SARS-CoV-2. The sequel. The SARS-CoV. The virus so nice they named it twice. I don't know where I'm going with that, but...
So I'm sure you're expecting me to snap now.
To snap?
Yeah, I'm like...
No, I'm expecting you to have convulsions because that literally didn't make a single goddamn lick of sense.
it sounded like a Flarf poem or whatever the fuck that shit's called.
I'm sorry, what?
Anyway.
Did you say Flarf?
I sure did.
Well, let me just... No, I'm just kidding. Maybe we'll do that at the end of the episode. How much time we got left?
This is basically the end of the episode.
Well, fuck me in the ass and call me a blue-nosed gopher. I was going to tell you what the FDA says about self-experimentation and about the fact that there is a vaccine where people were squirting it up their noses, and they were doing citizen science. But instead, I'll just leave you with this. Here's my take.
All right.
Be your own pharmacist. Here's my take. Here's my take. Be your own pharmacist. Here's my take. Be your judge, jury, and executioner. Here's my take. Don't snort all-purpose flour. Here's my take. Don't snort bread flour. Here's my take. Don't snort vaccines, which have been unapproved by the FDA. For legal reasons, I must tell you this. Here's my take. Do snort mysterious white powders, as long as you have a vague idea of what they are. Here's my take. Miller Lite is not safe to drink. Here's my take. I've been drinking it all episode. Here's my take. Take this. Podcast and shove it. I ain't working here no more.
Man, that was a glorious way to quit.
I'm not quitting. That was all a joke. But for real, this really is what I believe. I think that if you're a scientist and you want to risk it for the biscuit, for the Trisket, if you want to risk it all to prove your fucking point, like Dr. Barry, I say fucking go for it, dude. If you're credentialed and you're trained and you know the risks or the unknown unknowns are unknown to you, fuck it. Who's going to tell you no? The FDA? Fuck no. What I advocate for and what I think should exist is a Wild West fucking scientific body of knowledge. I want people to do like the old fucking days, you know, the Usenet days, the Shroomery days, the DMT Nexus days, right? And maybe that's because I'm a junkie. And maybe you're going to tell me that, hey, junkie, go get a job. Well, guess what? I have a job. I'm a chemist. And I can tell you right now that you should test out any idea you have in a safe and personally informed manner. Do your fucking research. Figure it out. And I don't think the government should tell you not to unless it turns into a big fucking problem that's a real pain in everybody's ass. And at that point, we're just fucking playing it by ear. We're just freewheeling. We're freeballing. We're figuring it out as we go along. That's what I think should happen. We have to have a day-to-day fucking gray area for figuring out knowledge. Not for knowledge's sake, but to help people. That being said, if you're just out there to fucking, I don't know, get money off of your fucking self-experimentation, you're fucking stupid. You look like a guy with a monocle to me. And that monocle is going to be shoved so far up your eye that your actual eye is going to come out your nose. Don't fucking take money for self-experimentation. Self-experimentation is like the image of Christ with the heart, you know,
the martyrdom.
Yeah, it's scientific martyrdom. I think that's fine. If you give of yourself to science, how is that different than fucking donating an organ at the end of your life? Okay? Yeah. And if you and of course, safety is key, right? I believe in PPE. I wear it every fucking day. I believe in reading the SDS before you crack open a chemical. I believe in setting up an Excel table with solubilities, chemical compatibilities of all your equipment before you start. And if the unknowns get you, hey, fucking charge it to the game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean that's like the whole, like that's science. You know, there's gonna be some cracked eggs.
And you gotta crack an egg to make a souffle.
Vaccine. Oh.
Vaccine. There's probably albumin in your vaccine, so that's probably
there's probably eggs in your vaccine.
That's literally true. Albumin, that's a thing they put in there. So.
All right, so I think that's all we got for tonight.
Yeah. So if you think you got something better to say, meet me at the fucking Foursquare court.
Or tweet us.
At your favorite, folks, This Course Pod. At This Course Pod.
What?
This Course Pod.
This Course Pod.
Pod. This Course Pod.
Give us criticism or don't. Go fuck yourself.
Or just tell us we're doing good.
Yeah, or that.
I like validation.
Sure. Tell your friends. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Hey, have a good one, everyone.